my name is Maura Bomer. Welcome to my video series. I am representing Niagara IMT, Integrative Manual Therapy, which is my company. And Integrative Manual Therapy is all about health, wellness, and getting us better. And today I will be doing a short video on the 5 basic principles of Stott Pilates. So you can follow along with me. If you like, you can email me and I will send you this very handy link. It'll give you pointers and reminders of what those principles are. And this is to just give you a taste of what you might need to know as we go along. So there are 5 basic principles to Stott Pilates, and as it says here on the handy chart, first one is breathing. We want to make sure that you're breathing very consciously and into the lower lobes of the lungs. The second one is cervical neck placement. The third one would be shoulder girdle placement. The next one would be ribcage placement, and the last one would be lower back and pelvic placement. So I'll be going through all of those. The first one being breathing. You can just do this seated, as I will turn this way, but what you might want to do is also grab a bolster or something to sit up on. You will be in a more neutral position. So if you're on a bolster, a couch cushion, a pile of books, anything that's available to you, that would be just fine. And what I'm going to have you do is sit however comfortably you can, either on the floor, up on your cross-legged, or legs out in front of you, whatever is working for you. And I just want you to take a moment, take a breath in, and exhale out. We're going to inhale through our nose and exhale out through our mouth through pursed lips, like you're blowing out birthday candles. Okay? Now, one way to also encourage this is if you have your feet flat on the floor and your knees upright, you can hover over your legs and feel like you're breathing into back space. Inhale in and exhale out, and feel like the back opens up like balloons. So remember that our lungs are not 2-dimensional. They are 3-dimensional, and you want to feel like you're filling the entire lung with air, and especially into the lower lobes, and the posterior or the back side of the lungs has a better oxygen exchange, as well as into the ribs, and not just keep it up in the apical area or in the upper area. Here, I will do this now seated. You want to retract your chin. Most of us tend to have forward head posture because of driving, working on the computer, on the counter. Things are in front of us and our head tends to jut forward. We want to try and retract our chin back so that our skull sits on the top of our spine. And from here, you're just going to do what we call a cervical nod inflection, which drops down slightly, and extension, which rises backwards slightly. You do not want to let your chin jut forward. That is cutting into all of the cranial nerves, which run through our foramen magnum at the top of our cervical spine. So you want to keep your chin retracted, and a cervical nod or cervical placement has to do with the cervical area, the upper part of the spine, and it's just a little bit of flexion going forward and a bit of extension going backwards or upwards in this case, and downwards. Okay, next basic principle will be shoulder girdle. So what you want to do for the moment is you want to elevate, bringing the shoulders up by your ears, and depress, bringing them down. You don't want to just let them drop. You want to be conscientious in your movement, both directions, elevating on your inhale, exhale to depress. Now, because the shoulder moves 3-dimensionally, not only up and down, what you also want to do is maybe for here, bring your arms out front, and you're going to protract, like you're bringing them forward, and retract, bringing them backwards. And know that this is actually happening from the scapula, the shoulder blade area on the back. So you're protracting, going forward. It goes slightly upwards, but not very much, and retract, going backwards, coming downward and in slightly. And you'll notice that there is not a change in my elbow placement or my hands do not come together and open up wide. They fairly well stay the same distance apart. Now, when you find a place where you feel like you're in the middle between protraction and retraction, and elevation and depression, you will be in a neutral shoulder girdle placement. So keep that in mind. The next basic principle is ribcage placement. So if you put your hands on your ribs and you inhale and feel your ribs expand out to either side, and then exhale, feel them close down in. And again, inhale, feel them expand out to left and right sides. Exhale, feel them close in. Now what I want you to do is still breathe into the rib cage area, into the lower lobes of the lungs, but don't let the ribs spread out. So you're going to breathe in and you'll feel that go into your back space, and exhale, keep them in closed. Inhale, breathe in. Don't let them expand out to the sides by movement of your hands, and exhale, keep them in. For the next part of that, I'm going to come up on my knees because it will be easier for you to see. I'm going to put a thumb at my bottom rib and a fingertip at my hip bone, which is on the front side there. And I'm going to breathe in and exhale, but I'm not going to let the ribs lift away from those hip bones. So what I want you to think about with this in both directions is that there's a bungee cord that is attaching left and right sides together, and also left and right sides to the respective hip bones, so that as I breathe in, I'm not lifting away or lifting my shirt up, that sort of thing. So again, it encourages breathing into back space. For our last and final principle, what we're going to do is we're going to use the bolster or the roller again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the pelvis and the lower back, that lower lumbar area. And if I sit up nice and tall, hopefully I will be in neutral. Now, if I flex or flatten that lower back slightly, my tailbone just slightly tucks underneath, using my abdominals to sort of roll the roller just that centimeter or two forward. I come back to neutral, and then I go the other way, and I'm going to be in extension. So as I inhale, I'm going into flexion in that lumbar, or flattening that lumbar spine, and into neutral and extension, that I'm arching that lower back slightly. Now when I come to neutral, if I'm laying flat on the floor, which I will demonstrate in a moment, I should have a slight curve in my lower back. I'm going to breathe in through my nose and out through my mouth, through pursed lips, and I want to feel like I'm breathing into back space. From here, my head is in neutral right now, and I'm looking straight up at the ceiling. I'm going to inhale, and I'm going to extend my head and my chin slightly backwards, and exhale, I'm going to tuck that chin forward. So it's like a cervical nod, and that will come into play later. From here, I'm going to elevate my shoulder girdle by bringing my shoulders by my ears, and then depress down. And again, inhale to elevate, exhale to depress. I'm going to bring my hands up in the air towards the ceiling, palms face each other, not locking out my elbows. And I'm going to reach forward as I protract, and exhale, retract back. And I'll feel my shoulder blades sort of pinch together. Inhale to protract, exhale to retract, and one more time. Inhale to protract, exhale to retract, and I'm going to find a place in the middle, and that will be my neutral shoulder girdle. I'm going into the rib cage. I'm going to inhale to open and expand the ribs, exhale to close them down, and now I'm going to feel like I'm going to expand or open up the ribs on back space when I inhale, but not letting them spread out to the sides. And exhale. And I also want to keep in mind as I inhale, especially when there's arm movement, I'm not going to pop the ribs out. And our last basic principle, if you put the heels of your hands onto your hip bones, which are facing the ceiling, and your fingertips on your pubic crest, a neutral spine should have these, in principle, lying all on one plane. If I go into imprint and I flex that lower back, I'm going to flatten the back, my pubic crest comes up higher, and as I extend, my hip bones come up higher. So what I use for an image is, imagine there's a little pool of water here. I'm getting the water to spill towards my feet as I extend, and towards my chest as I flex. And when we go into that flat back or that flex position, we call that imprinted spine. And remember that I'm flattening my back on my inhale, exhale, I'm extending the lower back and coming back to neutral. Those are your 5 basic principles to Stott Pilates, and I will review one more time. And again, I have this very handy workout sheet for you that I would be happy to email you, and I can send that off to you immediately. So our 5 basic principles are breathing, cervical neck placement, shoulder girdle placement, rib cage placement, pelvic and lower back placement. Thank you for watching. Again, if you have any questions, find me on Facebook, Instagram, or my YouTube channel, Niagara IMT, and I will see you again.